What is good? We back. Word on the streets replaced the E's with threes, and this week we actually don't have three. Shout out to Vince Chang. He's working like a madman. Couldn't make the podcast this week, so we keep it going in Vince's spirit. Bas Rosendahl, Kyle Montgomery, the Mountain, and the Voice hold it down. What's up, B?
Oh man, it is such a busy period. I think if you're like a true 3-street crazed person, you could have watched, I believe, 10 tournaments last weekend, right? There was so much going on, right? First, of course, we had the World Cup. We'll talk about that. But last weekend, I think we had 2 Europe Cup qualifiers, a women's series, a world tour, a bunch of Nations League stuff. Yep. Pure insanity. I couldn't watch it all.
No, and a lot of it went down in Vienna.
Yep.
I know you were working, and I was covering the Vienna event. So there was Nations League, there was Wheelchair Masters, there was Women's Series, and there was World Tour. It was a smorgasbord of 3x3 action. But this time of year, bro, we've been through this before. We know that this is time to batten down the hatches.
Yep.
3x3 is going to be coming fast and furious. We got the Amsterdam Masters and Women's Series coming up this weekend. After that, it's Ulaanbaatar, and Europe Cup will be coming up sooner than later. So it's a grind.
It is. I enjoyed it, though. How about, look, you just got back from Vienna, though. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. We drove there, drove back, took the baby girl out there, her first 3x3 tournament. Weather was bad. You could hear my pop still coughing and snorting up, on the porch right now. The weather wasn't good, so we all kind of came down with a little bit of something. But the tournament was excellent, and that's what we're here to talk about. The tournament,
yes,
which
you're right.
was, I didn't cover the women's series, but I watched the women's series. It was a Madrid sweep. They won the men's and women's wheelchair masters and the women's series. Juana Camillion says I got to come up with a new nickname for her, and I do.
We have to. You're right. You're absolutely right.
1 in a million is not bad. I'm working on it. So Juana, if you're watching, we're gonna have something for you by the end of the year. But Masters, if you don't mind, I'll go first. Vienna,
yeah, go ahead.
Vienna Masters. I know you saw who won.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you didn't get the chance to catch the games.
No,
but
that's the only thing I saw, Kyle. I couldn't watch anything else because I was working, but I did see the final game.
Okay. My synopsis of the Vienna Masters. Ub without Strahinja looked very vulnerable.
Yes.
They played hard. Naranjic played, I thought, pretty well. I thought Badac played well as well. Kaludenovic struggled with his shot. But they clearly were not the well-oiled Ub machine that we've seen this year.
Mm-hmm.
They were averaging somewhere around 16 points a game. They lost the game in group play to Baskets Bond, which I guess these days isn't the biggest shock. Lehman came out swinging. Lehman looked a hell of a lot better. Gigon was knocking down shots from 2 range. Shot at like 40% or something from 2 range. He yammed on a crowd of people. He had a nasty highlight. We had a sick highlight in the QD with Warsaw. If you hadn't seen it, you got to check it out.
Is that the Bogucki dunk?
That was the Bogucki dunk, but it was really the pass. It was the pass from Zebo.
Mm-hmm.
The pass from Zebo was like inverted between it was crazy. And then Bogucki just finished it off with a nice yam. I know I'm just throwing out random thoughts, but this is just all coming to me. Team Phoenix, who you had told me to keep an eye out on, and I was looking at him. Kyle Guy is going to be a problem.
Yep.
Kyle Guy is going to be a beeping. Do we got the?
Yep.
He's going to be a fucking problem. And I mean that 2 ways. He's going to give teams hell with his offensive capability. He can shoot the lights out. But he's going to be a potential problem for Phoenix defensively.
Oh, yeah.
Marion Paulet game plan for Phoenix perfectly. They isolated him in the post, and they attacked him almost every play. And he just doesn't have the size or the physicality. He's clever with his hands. But they kind of exposed that weakness in Phoenix's defense. That's why Phoenix didn't make it to the main draw. But they're in the main draw in Amsterdam,
Yep.
and then I think we're really going to see what they made of. Okay,
Can I
to
add
the
one thing on Phoenix just real
yes,
quickly?
yes, go ahead.
So a couple things, right? So it was Joe Wieskamp's first time with him. He's kind of a jack of all trades kind of guy, right? He can do a little bit of everything. He's not the main gunner on that squad. That's obviously Kyle Guy. But I think what
Yeah,
made them good when I saw him earlier this year is when it was Guy and Eric Demers. That'll give you
yeah,
more fits on defense. But
yeah,
Demers is a crazy shooter. So
yeah,
the combination between those two can outscore you to 21. I think with Eric Dixon in the mix, who's a crafty player himself, I think they could be good, but they have to focus on the offensive end of the ball because they're not going to defend people. And they have to
yes,
blow teams out because they don't manage the game well down the stretch of a game. They don't have as much 3-3 experience as Mariampole, for instance, because that was a close game
yeah,
and they mismanaged the game a lot late.
yeah, yeah. I think that's exactly got to be their approach early until they get acclimated to the game and get a system they can depend on. They're just going to try to outsprint you to 21, and they got the guns to do it. I need to see more from Dixon though, man. He led the NCAA in scoring. I think he's Villanova's all-time leading scorer, and I need to see more from him. He missed some shorties. He's got this huge frame. He's a big dude. He can step outside. I was expecting more out of him. I'm just going to say that. I'm not saying that he's not going to transition well. I think he will. But my first look at him, this year, I need to see some more from him.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, do you know who I saw Putty from? Was Amster. Damn. Man, look, I'm going to give I got to give Worthy his flowers. And I ain't trying to glaze the guy. But Worthy, it's easy to praise Worthy for his offensive ability. He's a walking highlight. He's so crafty, so clever. He's going to have a couple of highlights, some great passes, and he's going to score 7 a game like he did this last weekend. But the guy put on a defensive clinic in that fucking tournament. Worthy's activity, disrupting passes, not allowing bigger guys to post him up, just getting a fingertip on it. Just these little plays, they seem small, but these were game-changing plays, and he was doing them consistently. He had one sequence where he blocked a shot with one hand, scooped, didn't even put the other hand on it, scooped it with one hand, stepped behind the 2-point arc, and then drill one in the homie's face. I said, what the Worthy he's got to be up there, man, and not just best offensive players, all around, both sides of the ball, man. I don't know if there's anybody in the league better. I just can't think of anybody that's better on both sides of the ball, man. That was a defensive masterclass. Not only that, him setting the tone defensively for Amsterdam. They came into that final, man, against Lehman like bullies, man. They had a different aura about them. Dreesen was jacked up from the very beginning, right? I don't know, they seemed to come into their own. Like, they played like the best team should play. They didn't you didn't see some of the typical Amsterdam stuff, building a big lead and then kind of letting their foot off the gas. BA was consistent. He was a threat. He was hitting big shots the entire tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, him and Worthy 1 and 1A in terms of the MVP. I know Worthy got the MVP. Von Tilburg wasn't as effective this tournament. I don't know if that's because BA was touching the ball more, but I was impressed, man. And I think that it also hurt Lehman going into that final. The comeback they had to pull off in the semis against Duke. They're down like 6, and I think that took a lot out of them, and they didn't come in with enough punch to match Amsterdam's intensity. I'm trying to think if I'm leaving anybody out. Well, you probably want to chime in. Is any? Yeah. Let me. Oh, okay. Well, quickly.
Okay.
Quickly. Baskets Bond. Although They didn't win the tournament.
Mhm.
I still think they took another step in the right direction. I think that they took another stride. I think that it's time. Like we're gonna have to do our Power Fives later on in this show,
Yeah, they'll probably be on there, huh?
and I think you got to put them in there.
Yep.
I know I'm kind of combining the silver medal at the World Cup. I know I'm kind of combining that, but I was impressed with their run, man. I was impressed with their run. They ran into Amsterdam, and these things happen sometimes.
Yeah, but still, I think they bring Van Sloten to his first tournament in over a year, or somewhat close to a year. He just got out of a 5-on-5 season, right? So he's still very much adjusting. I think he's going to be a nice piece for them. And I think if you bring this lineup, they are gigantic, bro. They are just enormous. Super tall, pretty much 1 through 4, all very athletic as well. So they can put a lot of pressure on the ball. They can deflect. They can contest shots very well. It is going to come down to whether they can hit the 2-ball. And, Ajiman is hot or cold, right? If either he hits them all or he doesn't hit them.
Man. I don't know, Bas. I think he's turned the corner. I think before he was hot or cold. But from the World Cup through that, he shot at 40%, about 38% in that tournament.
Mm-hmm.
He was 57% for the World Cup.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
I know that there's a group of 3x3 fans and people that still don't quite believe it. They still don't believe it. It's like, okay, he's making some shots right now. Maybe he's feeling it, but we still don't have to commit to him on the 2-point arc yet. You wouldn't respect him like you would respect a pure shooter. You can name a list of guys, but for me, I think Denzel's turned the corner, man. I think that maybe something's changed in his mechanics. Something certainly has changed with his confidence.
Yeah, I think that might be it.
He is shooting the shit out of that ball from long range. And he ain't the only one. Giesman was like 60% from deep.
Giesman ended up 41. So I checked the numbers, right? Giesman ended up 41. I think Ajiman ended up 31%. Imagine if Luc van Sloten can go anything better than 0 for 10.
Yeah, I know.
Because he couldn't score the ball at all. Again, he's adjusting, but he's supposed to be the main outside weapon on that squad. With Ajiman improving, with Giesman being able to knock him down. I got to say, going into the game against Amsterdam, I expected them to kind of repeat what they did the last few times they met up with Amsterdam, which is just pressure the living hell out of them on the perimeter, and make life so difficult on Worthy and force it into a game of ones, where they obviously have Giesman as the ultimate cheat code. That didn't quite materialize. I saw a lot of kind of standing around, like trying to go one-on-one from the perimeter from them. Of course, that game had a crazy comeback from them, right? So Amsterdam jumped out to an early lead after getting free on the perimeter a bunch. Worthy putting on a clinic. I rewatched this, by the way, so I didn't watch this live, but I wanted to check that game. Yeah. But what I saw was that, that comeback hit, and then you remember this sequence, right? It was I think Giesman boomed on somebody, and then I think somebody on Amsterdam dunked, like it was Driesen or something. There were a couple of stops, and then no, never mind. So Driesen went to the basket. Giesman blocked him.
Yes.
And then they turn it around, and Cedi tries to go and dunk on Worthy, and that doesn't work. And it ends up, after like a minute of contentious play, it ends up with a Driesen score. And I think that was the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back there.
Yeah. No, that was a hell of a sequence. Worthy actually packed Giesman. Giesman had blocked Worthy. No, this happened not in that same sequence, but say within a minute and a half, 2-minute span. Giesman looked like he was about to have a dunk, and Worthy chased him down and glassed this shit. It was contentious, man. I was like, they were going at it, man. They were going at it. That was a good one to watch it. But Amsterdam's experience, I think, won out. And obviously, Worthy's playing at a really high level. But if I'm Baskets Bond, I don't walk away with my head low. I think they're going to be a real contender this year. No longer a dark horse or anything like that. I think that they've arrived, and they should be considered in the top 5 most dangerous teams in 3x3 right now today.
I agree.
But credit Amsterdam. They got that dub. We've had 5 5 Masters, and we've had 5 different winners,
Yeah, it's been a good year.
right? Miami, Oob, Lehman, Amsterdam, Hangzhou, right? That's 5.
Miami, right? So
Yeah,
Lehman,
yeah, yeah,
Miami, Oob, Hangzhou, Amsterdam.
yeah, yeah. 5 Masters, 5 different winners.
Yeah, it's been good, man. It's been good. And
It's
I
been
can't wait for this upcoming weekend with Amsterdam. That's going to be craziness as well. Some weird teams there, by the way. Well, I don't think we should get into that. We'll probably get into that after Amsterdam. But there's some interesting squads there, man. Some Italian teams. It's
he said some weird teams. That's a hell of a word.
all right. So let me
let's
pull the
see.
list up. Just for fun here. Oob,
Okay.
Miami, Skyliners, Amsterdam. Sure, we know about
Yeah.
those. Shanghai, Vienna, Baskets, Bonn, Toulouse. Also, sure, the Ching. But there we go. Phoenix.
Yeah.
Who I think right now have Demers, Guy, Wieskamp, and Gilligan rostered, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Bucharest? Okay.
Right. There's one. There's one that's weird. A little bit.
Ermont. Keep your eye out on Ermont. They got a guy named Jean-Pierre Hervé. I think you've seen him before. I've called him the magician.
Yes.
That man is a hooper. I'm not sure they win some games, but he'll be on the top 5 regardless.
Yeah.
Then Praia Clube, the Brazilians.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then we go down the list. All right, Cervena Zvezda's there. Rome?
Right.
Where did they come from? And they play with Della Valle and Gaspardo. So we're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
Italian,
Ooh.
like Europe Cup bronze Italian team. So
Yeah.
and Della Valle was actually active in the Europe Cup qualifier I hosted last weekend. We'll get into that in a second. But Della Valle and Gaspardo on the team. Then we got Team Colosseum,
Right.
also Italian. Who are they? I have no
I
idea.
can't name a single dude on this roster.
Me neither, man. And it'll be good because I think Rome is even into. I would believe Rome is into the main draw. Let me check.
Let's see.
They
Coliseum's
are,
in the
yes.
main draw.
No,
Rome
Coliseum is in the
too.
qualifying draw. Qualifying draws
Are
are
they?
Vienna, Ermont, Coliseum, Baskets, Bonn, Bucharest, and Cervena Zvezda.
Whoa.
And then we go, so Oop, Phoenix, Praia, Clube is Pool A. Miami, the Ching, and Rome is Pool B.
Oh,
Skyliners, Toulouse, and a qualifier. Amsterdam, Shanghai, and a qualifier. This tournament is weird. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah. But I like it. To me it's weird in a good way. And these teams, they got some ability. Like I wouldn't sleep on Rome at all. Della Valle and Gaspardo, that combo is crazy.
Oh, yes.
They could fuck some people up.
Let me.
And-
So on that, right? I mean, this might be a good transition. I'm not sure if you had anything else to say, but I saw Della Valle last weekend. So right, it's not. No, so you updated me on Vienna. Now it's my time to update you before we get into all the World Cup stuff.
Right.
So I hosted Kosice Europe Cup qualifier, the Slovakian one.
Uh-huh.
Now, of course, we had another one, Pristina, where Azerbaijan came out with 3 players and won it on the women's side. So it was Carter, Mollenhauer, and Denishkina, and they still managed. Frazier's still injured, man.
Still injured.
Yep. And then Ireland on the men's, we expected them to get back. They ended up getting it done. But that tournament is also right. This is like small nations in Europe, so you'll see Malta and Cyprus and some other squads. Cyprus got a guy though. They got Panagiotis Markou, I believe. But for the second year in a row, this guy shot all the shots during like anything up to the finals, and in the finals he couldn't buy a bucket. So Cyprus ain't there. It is Ireland on the men's side. But anyway, that one concluded right around the same time mine did. So I did the Kosice one. And I got to say, look, coming in, you knew Switzerland men would probably be heavily favored, right? That's one of those teams where they've been there before. And I would say second on that list to me was Croatia, right? The guys that we've seen now as Sibona, that we saw last year as Samobor, that is a squad that I'd say I'd probably pick them going into that tournament. Croatia lost pretty early. They were done, and they were done because this tournament had 11 teams. So what happened is you get 3 pools of 3, 1 pool of 2, and if you come in second in the pool of 2, you somehow get to 1 game away from the ticket game.
In the smallest group?
In the smallest group, you end up Italy came into day 2 with a loss to Hungary, ended up sort of getting a bye. I'm not even sure what happened there. And then they played Croatia in their second game of action. Croatia, who had actually, so it wasn't a bye, but it was like the last knockout round game or something. Croatia, who had come off 2 wins, tight games, and we've known them to go cold at times, and they were cold at stretches in those games. It was played indoors, by the way, because it was raining in Slovakia. And Italy just ran the table on them. Italy just went bananas. I'm talking Della Valle dropped a 10-piece and knocked down 3 twos.
Ooh.
And this Italian squad, they added a new guy, David Cournot. And I hope to see more of him. Older guy, 35, 5-on-5 player, obviously. I think this was his first 3x3 tournament ever. The man is gifted. So you're thinking Della Valle knocked down 3 twos. Cournot knocked down 3 as well. And he got a bunch of steals. And he was physical. And he got to the rack. So 6 twos between the two guys. They had 18 out of 21 points. Damn. It didn't really matter much what the other guys did because they just went bananas. That game was over in a blink. And Croatia didn't have an answer because they're a slow, grindy team, and they couldn't hit me too. I think Kagic was the only one to knock down a few, but anybody else, Spasesky didn't have it. Vrgoc didn't have it. And then you're kind of on the outside looking in. So Italy comes through Croatia, and they end up winning the ticket by beating, now let me check. Oh, Portugal. Weird squad. Portugal, a feisty team out of nowhere. Just a lot of ISO ball.
Yeah.
And Italy really.
When was the last time we saw Portugal?
Women's, we've seen them, but men's,
we've seen, but men's, yeah.
But again, in that game, it's Della Valle with 9 and Cournot with 7 in a 21-14 game. So these two guys can go. So imagine, what if, so they go to the Europe Cup now. What if we get Della Valle, Gaspardo, and Cournot? Please.
Please.
Just add Maschiarelli, the guy from last year with the long arms. That team would probably still contend for maybe an interesting spot.
That would be a problem. I was looking at the Rome roster for Amsterdam, and I was going to see if your guy was going to be on there.
Nope.
He's not going to be there.
Nope. Oh, maybe.
But
you never know. I mean, this could be. Well, they can still switch to the technical meeting, which is, I think, as we're taping tomorrow. So, anyway, Switzerland get the other side done. But I got to give a shout out to Slovenia, man. They didn't make it. And they had a guy on the squad, and I want to make a little bit of rectification here. I think a couple years ago, they qualified to the World Cup, and they had a guy on the squad named Jure Litchin. And you remember him because we said he shops in the hefty section at Kmart.
Yeah.
He destroyed people in this tournament.
Really? Is he?
He's still a bigger guy, but man, oh man, he went absolutely bananas. I think he dropped like 10 a game or something, like 9 a game. And not even that, he was facilitating too. So he was kind of in that, I can only compare him to Tonji from New Zealand, right? So that quarterback type role. So he's on the high post trying to operate. He has no lift, right? But he is strong as an ox. So like if he can't get the pass, he'll just back you down, beep, beep, and then try to score over top of you.
Yeah.
They ran into Switzerland, which made it tough because Switzerland played with the World Cup silver medal roster from last year. So Jurkovic, Dubas, and Kazadi. So he still ended up with 7 points in that game. He didn't have any outside shooters helping him out. But
so you saying he's kind of like a baby Jokic?
Sure, Slovenian Jokic. We'll go with it.
But you see what I mean? I think there's room in the league for a player. I think a player like that could thrive. Maybe he's not so athletic. He's not so nimble-footed. But he's got a wide body. He's smart. He makes good passes, and he's consistent.
No, I agree. So again, Slovenia didn't make it, but I was heavily impressed with Lichin's play. And I know we made fun of him a couple of years ago a little bit. In
you
good
did.
Spirits.
I never would do that.
Okay, so that was me then. In good spirits. But I had to give him a shout-out. Any of the other teams, I think Hungary disappointed. We've seen Hungary at the Europe Cup before. They couldn't quite get it done.
The men's team, but the women's team qualified.
Women's qualified. Yeah. And the last thing on the men's and women's side, two things actually. One, Finland is starting to get involved. They brought 2 squads. I didn't mind the men's team. It was cool for a first try. They got an interesting win in the group. So they got into the knockout rounds by beating Poland. And that would be my second point. It's quite the disappointing year for the Poles. We'll get to the World Cup. But they went 0-2. They brought a roster with, look, Sokolowski is a guy. We know this, but he's not like a main gunner type guy. He's kind of like a glue guy now.
Yeah.
So they bring, and I think you've seen him in the past, Samsonowicz,
Yep.
He can really
Yep.
shoot it.
Yep.
And then Kruzinski and Philip Put. And wasn't enough. 0-2, lost both their games by a point. But to Turkey and Finland, that's not the type of teams Poland, a 2-time Olympic program, should be losing to.
Yes. Well, Turkey, though, I don't
Turkey's
know.
pretty good, but still, Turkey has not had a single imprint on 3x3 in years outside of the Europe Cup qualifier.
Yeah,
and
but they've had
Poland
some
went to the Olympics twice. They just organized a World Cup. What are we talking about?
I know. No, look, your point stands. It is a disappointing year for Poland. I just think that it's time to rebuild, and it's time to get their 5-on-5 guys either fully committed to 3x3 to where they have time to actually build a program to where they're going to be competitive. Or if they can't get those guys, then they need to start. They got to go young.
But look, I don't want to rub salt in the wound here, but this tournament was on Saturday and on Sunday. On Friday night, Team Warsaw lost in the qualifying draw. 5 hours driving from Slovakia. They have Adrian Bogucki. They have Zebo. They have anybody that these guys could make a difference in a tournament like this. You can't tell me these guys wouldn't be able to beat Turkey.
Yeah, they should. I mean, they should. I can't defend it. I can't defend it.
No, I don't want to defend it. I'll be honest with you. That was just bad. So women's side, because I know we got to get to the World Cup here pretty soon. Hungary, of course, heavy favorites, won it. Super good job. Didn't bring Vera Kiss this time, and the paint was wide open, so Vivi Burundi went absolutely bananas again.
Vivi's having a hell of a year, man.
Oh, yeah. Just every time she decides to drive, it is great. And the chemistry between her and Claudia Pop cutting off the ball. So if Claudia has the ball in her hands and can't find a shot, it's always a Burundi cut to the basket, and it's every single time it's a layup. It is just, wow. Secondly, look, not a lot of teams that kind of came in there. I looked at the teams before, and not a lot of teams kind of were impressive to me, right? Italy brought a new roster. Didn't do so well at the World Cup, so I didn't expect much out of them. We've seen Portugal at the Europe Cup before, but they also brought some new faces, and sure, I could see Portugal, but Slovenia qualified? Slovenian women for the first time, I believe, since 2014 when they won a silver medal.
Wow. Slovenian women on the map? What?
No, and they took down, and look, these are all squads we don't really know much about, right? But they took down Serbia, Slovakia, then lost to Hungary in the pool because men's pools were pools of 3, women's were pools of 5 because there were only 10 teams there. Beat down on Georgia, and then all they had to do was win a game over Portugal. It was a tight game, so ended up 16-15. But Slovenia have a lady on the squad named Eva Lisek. I think she's about 6'3", 6'4", pretty nimble. Leading scorer, I believe, out of their team. I'm not sure if it was in the tournament because the stats aren't available, so I can't check it. But she was getting timely buckets. She ended up locking the game up with a right-hand hook that put them up 2 with like 20 seconds to go. But this is going to be an interesting team. I mean, I'm interested. I'm not going to say they're going to run deep, but I'm interested.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like okay, maybe they could do something. Well, especially in the women's competition, there's the door is always kind of open for one of those teams that are under the radar to come and actually make a deep run and shock some people because it tends to be a little bit top heavy. I mean, you almost can guess which women's teams are going to be in the medal rounds, in the elimination rounds, because that gap between the experienced, really good teams and the rest of the pack is a lot wider than it is in the men's game. So a team like that can almost instantly come in and become like a serious contender.
I think they could surprise a team, and that might be the extent of it, but it's still interesting. Third Europe Cup qualifier is going on right now, so I don't think we should. So there you go. I don't think we need to be saying too much about that. We'll see who comes out, especially because this podcast will drop already once the tournament's done. But yesterday, Sweden 2-0, Estonia 2-0 out of nowhere. So it's a good one. I think even
what's happening,
man. Czechia is already out on the men's side. Czechia is done. They went into the World Cup. They are out.
What's happening? Is Norway going to get in the mix next?
Eventually,
we got Ireland in there. Like, come on.
It's a wild mix, and I mean, look, Sweden took down the UK, right, with Ashley Hamilton in them, and took down Czechia with the World Cup squad. That's
That's
not bad.
impressive. That's impressive. Never did I think we'd be talking about Sweden in 3x3. Like, I'm interested. You just
I
listening
played
to you
against.
talk
Look,
about
I'll
some of
give
these
him a
squads
shout out.
now. I'm like,
So I'll give him a shout out. So I played against some Swedes back in the days, right? So I'm talking 20. I want to say 2019. I went to a challenger in Mongolia. I played against a team named Lidingo. They've been on the fringe of the top 40 in FIBA 3x3, and a bunch of their players made it onto this team. So they've been moderately active, I'd say. Now, I don't know if you've checked the FIBA 3x3 team rankings as of late. You probably don't. I do this religiously.
I usually do, but closer to the tournament. I'll do my stuff tonight. But what's the team rankings looking like now?
I mean, look, that the top of the rankings is what it is. Number 36 now, Stockholm, a new squad based around one of the players from that Lidingo team that I played in the past. He didn't make the Swedish team. I think he was one of the substitutes on this national team stuff. But he's attracted some points. So this team features Alexander Bursak, so former Hangzhou, former Partizan player.
Yeah, Baloo, the Big Bear,
and Marko Stefanovic is on there. There you go.
Yeah.
So this is a Swedish team that has just come out of nowhere. But I had to give them a shout out because Sweden did well yesterday.
I didn't know they were Swedes.
They're not. They're not, but they brought some points. So now Stockholm's into the top 40.
Man, New York Harlem's in the top 40. They're right at 40.
Bro, they started at 27 this year.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you made me check them out a little sooner than I wanted to. But wow, yeah. Okay.
It's interesting, man. It is.
That's a stunner.
There you go. But I think it's time for us to dive into the real stuff here, because we talked about Vienna Women's Series World Tour wheelchair. We talked about the Europe Cup Qualifiers, but we haven't hit on the major event of this year, which is the World Cup in Warsaw that happened 2 weeks ago. We didn't have time to hop on the mic since because we've been swamped, but it is that time now.
Yes, it is. Overall impression, let me think. Shout out to the Polish fans.
Yes.
I think the crowds were pretty good. The weather sucked for the most part.
Yes.
No, the weather was not ideal. We went from frigid temperatures to blazing hot within an hour's time to rain, wind, especially early in the week. Weather wasn't great. Venue was good. The outdoor, I forgot what they were calling it, outdoor area outside the venue. The
like the festival grounds.
Yeah, the festival grounds were cool. The food was unbelievable.
Yes,
me and Bas destroyed these freaking French fries and sausage combo. Oh my God, that was hitting. I thought it was great to have it in Warsaw. Name brand city. Big time city in Europe. Poland's always had an imprint in 3x3 for a long time. Back to the early days with Pavlo and of course Michael Hicks and the Arduk brothers and of course Zebo. So we've known about them. So I was happy to see them host it. As for the tournament itself, everybody's asking me to rank this World Cup compared to others. I think last year's in Mongolia kind of stands alone in that it's the most improbable World Cup ever. But Bas, once we got through the first couple of days of pool play, we got to the elimination rounds. We had some fucking blockbuster games.
Yes, we did.
Like that stretch of 2 days, 3 days, the last 3 days. We had some fucking classic games, man. Right. I was like, one after another. Like we could go down the whole list of them. So I mean, I got to put it up there top 3. I got to put up there top 3. Amsterdam 19 is always going to be up there for me. 16 was special for a different reason for me. It was my first World Cup.
Yeah, I'll take 17 for the fact that I won a medal. And look again, this is recency bias though, because if you think about it, what was the 24 one in Vienna with the Jimmer Rimmer? Like that one was crazy as well, bro. So like,
true.
or 23 that
right.
was. Sorry.
Yeah, true.
So, but I have to agree, this is top 5, for sure. And
okay,
to me, what stood out, because you already shouted them out, but like the Polish fans, man, like what happened in the pool with the Polish teams had me thinking this was going to be an empty venue on the weekend, right?
Yeah.
Both teams eliminated, both teams disappoint, and then the Polish fans get behind certain other teams. We'll talk about which one of those teams are later, because I got one of those nominated for coolest moment in the event.
Yeah.
They get behind these other teams. They continue to show up to the venue. The venue was packed on the weekend. Starting Thursday, actually. Starting Thursday, the venue was packed. Because it was like a national holiday. Friday was off, Saturday, Sunday, right? So full venue, full festival grounds. There were like 3 other 3x3 tournaments going on. I couldn't get to the bathroom to save my life in between games. It was super busy. I got to mingle with some people, and shout out, and you've already mentioned them as well, but like shout out to the Polish legends courtside, man. Michael Money in the Bank Hicks to come into that venue, that was dope. I mean, I know not a lot of people noticed or like did something with it, but for him to show up there, and you know the storylines going in, like for him to show up there, that was special.
Yeah, it was big. It was big for him. Like that was something of a reunion for him. Like after the Olympics, and some bad blood going both ways. But look, he's one of the pioneers that helped build Polish 3x3 from way back. You look through that venue and you still see Michael Money in the Bank pictures and posters, and I'm watching him outside the venue. People want to take pictures, and he's signing autographs. So I thought it was good for him, and it was good for Poland's 3x3 program too, to kind of mend some old wounds, and he sees some of his former teammates that have been looking forward to see him. So that was cool. It's just a shame that the men's and women's teams underperform. I didn't expect a lot out of the men's team, which you could look at the last podcast that we did, and somebody was hyping up the Polish men's team. Don't take that look off your face, because you're gonna own it right now. Somebody was hyping up the Polish men's team. Like, I said, but they don't play 3x3.
They don't. But think about it. It was an overtime game against Latvia, right? Overtime.
Yeah.
They managed that. They lost, to Mongolia by 2. That wasn't great. And then after that, they were deflated. They lost a player. They couldn't get the job done. Last game, you forgive them for that. 21-14 loss with 3 players against USA. That's happening. But first day, they were super competitive, man. Like, I really thought something might happen there.
Yeah, you thought like Lil Willie.
Okay.
Ate some dog doo-doo and thought it was chili.
Okay.
That's what you did, and that's all right.
Wow.
Now, I got to eat some crow, too, because I thought the Polish women's team was going to perform better, coming off last year's World Cup where they were this close to a medal. They got their same core together, dominant big, emerging, I don't say superstar, but she's shown flashes of stardom in Ziemborska. Tough guard in Pawlowska. Great shooter in Gerchin. I thought playing at home, they were most certainly going to be competing for a medal. I thought they'd have a really good shot at getting on the podium this year. And they completely unraveled. They didn't have composure. Yeah. They were playing more to the officials instead of the opponent. I think the moment and I think the stage just seemed to be too big for them. I don't know if there's all the other stuff leading up to it in the interviews, and I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but they didn't look focused, and they looked like they wanted the officials to bail them out instead of them actually going out and winning the games with no excuses. They were too keen on look at this call, they're pointing here, and it just had that snowball effect. And
I agree. You saw it so early in games where normally this Polish team they won't beat you by 5, they won't beat you by 10, they'll beat you by 1 or 2 because they
yeah,
have good execution, good mismatch awareness, they're physical, and they rebound the ball well. Those are the
hmm
things that usually work for them. They forgot all 4 of them. And then I think halfway through games, I'm talking with like 5, maybe 4 minutes left, they went into panic mode and started forcing up a bunch of twos and just going
hmm
ISO ball.
hmm
Telinga couldn't be found in the game at some point. She didn't know where she was. She
yeah.
couldn't get a
Talinga
rebound or
struggled.
score.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
not all
Talinga
down to
really struggled.
matchups because, look, Madagascar they beat, but then Czechia is a stout defensive squad, but you got to be able to put up more than 14 points.
Yeah, yeah,
Azerbaijan you take as probably
yep.
a loss in the Netherlands too, but you got to get to Czechia game because that will
Yeah.
make you advance.
That was the difference for them. Yep, that was the one. They were completely deflated after that.
Yeah. And they didn't have belief, going into that last day where they had to beat Azerbaijan and the Netherlands to even stand a chance. They didn't have any belief.
Yeah, Poland conversation is all fine, but I mean, we'd be remiss not to talk about the teams that we should be talking about, which are the medalists.
Oh, yeah.
And I think in some order or another, we all had USA up there,
Yes.
and we all had the Netherlands up there,
Agreed.
right? But we didn't have Australia in there.
No, absolutely not. I didn't think this was a possibility.
Shout out the gang of fucking Roots. gang? Amy Atwell?
Oh, yeah.
Yo. All right. USA, shout out, go. Michaela Williams, and we're going to talk about Michaela. Netherlands, bronze, great. Dynasty still intact. I don't think there's any worries with them. They played well. Didn't have that same, I don't know, the same punches we're used to seeing with them. They kind of came on towards the end of the tournament,
Yep.
but Nortje wasn't as dominant. That's fine. But I think the story in the women's tournament, outside of USA winning gold, is the Kangaroos' run to the gold medal game. They won every type of game possible, and they started off terribly.
Terrible. Yep, you're
Did
right.
they start off 0-2? I want to say they started
off 1-1 because they lost to
1-1.
USA and they beat Mongolia. They ended up losing to Spain, so they went down 1-2, and then they beat Hungary to actually come in. It was a 3-way tie that got them into second, I believe.
Yep.
And what the thing with them is, so apparently these 4 ladies hadn't shared a court before, right? So this is the first time for this iteration of Australia to feature. And I think what was visible is these ladies don't have much prep. They don't do full-time programs out there. These are girls that come together for a training camp for a week before the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
You see them featured in women's series backed by a day of practice, which is when they sometimes mess up, which is when they sometimes don't perform to the standard which we think they can get to, which gave me not a lot of belief going into the World Cup, I'll be honest with you. But what was already kind of apparent on the women's series this year going into the World Cup is the fact that they've changed their approach a little bit, right? Not only do they have different players, they've started to, implement mismatches more. They are obviously very physical and athletic. That remains there. What I saw during the World Cup is the fact that they started to recognize on the fly a couple of things. One, offensively, where to get their players the touches. Now, Atwell doesn't matter where you gave her the ball. She was just hitting them. But I'm talking about Hannah Hank in mismatches under the basket, but specifically Marina Whittle kind of operating out of that mid-post with that fadeaway she has.
Yeah.
They went to that specific action a bunch, and that was an adjustment after those first couple of pool games where they didn't get to that. They couldn't find that action. Secondly, and I think this is the major thing. So I think this happened in the play-in game against China. That game was pretty close. If you remember, it was like 11-9, and they closed it out 21-11.
Yeah.
So they went absolutely bananas in that game.
Yeah.
Why? Because their defensive pressure got a lot better as that game went along. They pressured China out of their spots. They forced Jiating Zhang out of the paint into contested twos. And against all China's size, all they had to do was really work the ball screen angles and really make sure they guarded them well. And that continued against Ukraine, and then it continued in, I think, a defensive masterclass against the Netherlands. Every ball screen the Netherlands had, which is something usually they are extremely good at, right? So this is a system approach for the Netherlands. They come in with a bunch of screening action, and they make sure that, they get you, at a disadvantage through that. The Netherlands opted to go wide out of a ball screen. Australia followed over, dropped a player low, and out of that, the Netherlands didn't get anything but a bunch of contested twos. And that left them searching for answers. They tried to drive, and then there was Hannah Hank down there disrupting that. So the 2-on-1 didn't quite work for the Netherlands. If they went, turned a corner on the ball screen, they couldn't get that. So it ended up with a lot of mid-range looks for the Dutch, and that is not where they're good.
Mid-range and long range.
Yeah.
Netherlands went 2 of 13 from distance in that game. Van Kraustrom and Slaughter combined for a point.
Yeah.
A point in that game, right? And that's just that's not Netherlands 3x3.
No, it's not.
I thought my dog's coming in here that distracted me. I thought that the absence of Janice was glaring.
Yes.
And I think it was just indicative of how important she is to Netherlands system and whether or not it's going to function, at 100% or not. And I was shocked when the Aussies won that game. You could see the confidence building. You could see the momentum as they're going into the final against the USA. They had won in every type of scenario. They had to come back and win. Even the games that they were down big in the pool phase against the United States, they made a big charge to get back in that game late. So they left that game still with some type of belief. And by the time they came into that final, which they damn near won.
Yeah, they were up 20-19.
I know their coach well, and you know what I mean? They kind of embodied his spirit. He's always running these fucking marathons. He's like always challenging himself, like, stacking the odds and overcoming these obstacles. You know what I mean? And I could kind of see them taking on that identity. They take that 20-19 lead late against the USA, and I'm thinking they're going to win this. They're going to win gold. This Australian team that none of us had on the radar in a serious way they're going to win gold against this USA team. That is until Michaela Williams shows up. And shout out Michaela Williams. She's a different level player, bro.
Yep.
Without Michaela Williams, the Kangaroos win gold. Marina Whittle, Amy Atwell. Marina turned back the clock. She was incredible. Atwell is a sort of bona fide star. Hannah Hank is becoming an important piece in the middle. And do you remember Emma Clark she's that player that's like your Swiss Army knife. She's not going to score 7-8 points for you, but she's going to do the dirty work. She's going to get the big rebound. She's going to defend. So they had a nice unit. But back to Michaela Williams. It wasn't just that game winner in the gold medal game. It was the semifinal against Azerbaijan in OT. It was the pool phase heroics. It was the highlights. Have you seen that crazy lay she made too?
The 360?
Oh, that was one. She had a couple of them. Michaela Williams will be the face of women's 3x3 if she continues to play for this USA team. I really believe that, man. She's got everything, bro. She's got everything. Mid, step beyond the 2-point arc, selfless, will pass the ball, plays with passion, defends. I was in awe watching her. So
you want to know something, Kyle?
For the USA in that fashion, she got all my respect.
No, me too. You want to know something fun?
What?
She is not yet 21 years of age. She can't legally drink, and in a World Cup final, the game on the line, down 20-19, she got the ball in her hands, dribbled into a 2, faked somebody, calmly stood there, and drained a shot for gold. She's 20.
Bro, she's different, fam. I love it when we get a player like that comes along. And there's no shade to our best players in the game, like because Notre Dreesen is always up for the challenge too, and she's up there. But I just think skill wise, we don't have anybody like Michaela Williams, man. I mean, even you think of a dominant player like Brianna Frazier, I think that she and Michaela are still in different tiers.
I agree.
Michaela is a bona fide, certified superstar out of the box.
Yeah.
As soon as she steps on the court, and was on that team last year that finished 6th, right? Yeah. That disappointed. She came back and was a leader this year at 20 years old. Put the team on her back in big moments. So
yeah, and so yeah, all credits to her. This team is not done growing, probably literally, but figuratively, because if you think about it, Joyce Edwards had a decent tournament. She's about 6'3" and can dunk the basketball. We could probably see more out of her.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Sahara Williams did what she could. I mean, and again, she's a gifted player, but she brings the defense, she brings the grit, she brings the I think the intimidation.
Attitude.
Yeah, the attitude.
Yeah.
What about Malaysia Fulwiley scoring 9 in that finals game? She'd not had a great tournament scoring wise. Just a little quiet, picked her spots.
Yeah.
Mainly
I
a defender.
Would say with her, it was about time. With all respect, because she's super, super talented. But I think naturally she's a pass first player. You know what I mean? And that's fine. I think they could have used more scoring from her because she's got that ability. But to show up big in the final with 9 obviously was massive. She kind of set them up for Michaela Williams to knock them down in that final. But like to your point, I don't think we saw the best from them. And that wasn't even the best from them.
No, and that's we've just talked offense. I saw this team on the women's series where they dominated with defense. They didn't do that this tournament. I mean, look, they were good defensively, yes. They didn't win a game by more than 3 points. Every single one of their games was close. We didn't see the disruptive force that they were in the women's series. We didn't see the deflections. We didn't see much of the shot blocking because this was a different stage, a longer tournament, more pressure on the line, everything. Once this team gets that side of the ball translated into what they could do on a World Cup outside of just a women's series tournament, man, this is a scary season.
Yeah, but I think I was more impressed because we've seen the American women's rosters that have kind of run the table, and they've just kicked people's ass from start to finish, and they're winning games by 8, 9 points, 10 points, right? This team won with grit.
Yep.
They won with resolve. They won with toughness. We haven't seen an American women's roster that's had to win really tough games consistently, at the World Cup like this before, at least that I can remember. And for them to be as young as they are and to play under duress in the way that they did and show up in big moments the way that they did from pretty much start to finish, right? I was super impressed, man. I was super impressed. I really hope that they can keep their core together. I know that these are players that are going to be getting pulled a lot of different ways. The W is going to be an option, right? They play at big-time colleges. I get it. So whether they can keep them together or not is going to be in question. But I'll tell you, man, if they can keep this core, with the Olympics approaching, I think they can trust in this roster, and they're going to be an absolute problem going forward.
Yeah.
Shout out to the USA women.
Shout out to them too. Now I don't want to spoil the party because they were so good, but like if Azerbaijan in the semifinals have a functioning leg for Brianna Frazier, I think that might be they might have played for bronze. I don't know.
We might be having a different story, right? Yeah. Yeah, and it's time. Like as long as Brianna Frazier is on an Azerbaijan roster, they're going to be playing for. They're going to be playing for a medal more than likely, right? They're not going to be dropping out in 6th or 7th. That team is built for deep runs every single time. If they get a healthy Erica Carter too, and a little bit more consistent Mullenhauer, they're gonna be tough, bro.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Azerbaijan is up there among with the top dogs in women's 3x3. Period. Especially with teams like Canada that are trending.
Do you want to start talking about our biggest disappointments yet? I think we
Yeah,
skipped that.
I forgot.
We'll talk about that
we got
later.
topics. Yeah, okay, all right, you're right.
Let's get on over to the men's side, because I think that
Okay.
tournament was super interesting as well. And of course, we got to talk about the top 3, but I want to make it a top 4, man. I want to start out with a shout out to France. I think France, man, played a good tournament, like a tough, really strong tournament out of nowhere.
Yes.
I didn't expect them to be top 4 here. Man, their roster's kind of jumbled together group of guys from 2 separate teams, and they did all right at the Europe Cup last year. Sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
nothing like this. They win 3 games in the pool, and their path, of course the play-in path was not as hard. Madagascar, a team that had beaten them before, sure, but the same stuff still kind of haunted them that we know their issues to be, so they didn't rebound the ball well. But they found ways, man. I mean, look, a 14-11 game against USA in the quarterfinals. That was a defensive clinic, specifically from Alex Villarreal, who played a gritty game. Like, I don't think I've seen him play defense like that ever. He was so good. Then they almost take down Germany in the semifinals. Let's not forget that game was a tied game into the last 5 seconds, and Germany winning on a tip-in.
Yeah.
And then in the third place game, when you thought they would be running out of steam, they lose to Serbia by 1.
Yeah.
So I had to include them in this group. I mean, look, we shouldn't linger on them too long, but I had to give a shout out to Hugo Suhard specifically. Villarreal's defense. I think Villarreal on the final day didn't shoot it well. Didn't come out with all the offense that France needed to pick up a medal. But I think the leadership we saw out of Hugo Suhard, the wittiness to get the right play, the right player involved at the right time. Remember, I think it was late against, maybe it was Germany. I don't know. I don't remember. But it was like Monceau had a seal, but he had been kind of out of control in that minute leading up to that.
Yeah.
And Suhard just waited for 4 seconds and kept saying, nope, come here.
Yep.
Get out of that seal. Come set me a screen. And they got a layup or a dunk out of it.
Yeah.
And I liked his leadership, man.
I loved it, man. I think that Hugo, he was given the keys to this team. And usually Hugo isn't the leader on the previous French rosters. Usually you've got Segala who's there, and you got some other alphas, so to speak, on the roster, primarily Segala. But I think when Kareem Sochu chose this roster, he pretty much gave this team over to Hugo and believed in him being able to be the player coach on the floor for them. And he stepped into that role, man. He owned it. We saw him in the huddle. He was right in front of us. He was speaking to these guys like soldiers, like his troops. He was speaking with real punction. I was wanting to play for him, bro. I was like, man, I love seeing him step into that role. And it's one thing to talk about it and be, the rah-rah guy. It's another thing to do that and fucking deliver. Hugo delivered time and time again in that tournament. He was huge. He scored. He defended his decision-making. He was judicious. He was steady when things looked rocky for him. And the game that sticks out for me for France, and then I'll get off of them, is that quarterfinal against the United States. They bullied the United States.
Yep.
There's not an inkling, there was not an ounce of fear in France in that matchup. I think they looked at that American team and they said, we're just better than you. We're just gonna beat you. We're going to be mentally tougher than you are. We're going to be physically tougher than you are, and we're going to beat you. That's the way that I viewed them in their approaches to that game. To me, that's the way that they played. And unfortunately for the USA, they kind of played into exactly what France, how they approached them. It was like, they are who we thought they were going to be in this game.
But they
They might be more athletic and more talented than we are. They might. I mean, people expect them to win. They're the favorites, but we just don't think that they got as much heart as we got. And the dog in us is going to beat the dog in them. Yeah, they're better. 1 through 4, they're better than us. Yeah, they're more accomplished than we are, but we're gonna have more dog than they got, and that's why they won the game, man.
No, I think, and I agree with you. I think that's definitely what happened. But I also think, and credits to Kareem, the coach for this squad, but also credits to the players for executing here. They figured, and I think some teams have in the past, that USA is very much a flow and momentum type team. We've talked about this plenty, I think. And they disrupted all of their go-to actions, right? The backdoor cut wasn't there. I think that was France's best rebounding game. And then USA, once all that movement stuff doesn't work and the twos don't fall, which I think all the twos were very well guarded, they go to break glass in case of emergency. One is Dylan Travis operating out of a ball screen. That's where Alex Villare really came in and just disrupted that completely. And 2 was James Parrott, and he couldn't get it going. That was it.
No.
That was
3 points in that game. Yep. 3 points in that game.
Credits to France. They did not get a medal, so we should move on
right.
to the medal
games.
Get
a medal, but he's spending all this time.
Yeah, so we talked about it a bunch, but I think Serbia deserves some credit. Bronze is not what they came out there to get, right? And we saw Doc Strange after a semifinals overtime loss to Latvia, emotional, in tears, like this wasn't what he came to do. But they turned it around and picked up that bronze, showed some resilience, and they showed some resilience despite not being able to knock down a 2, because their 2-point shooting was just awful. They had a great Narandzic, a great Barac, those guys barely missed any shots. They couldn't supplement it with a lot of 2s, specifically Andrea Milutinovic. I love the guy, but he just didn't have a good tournament. He couldn't rise to the occasion. And, that makes Serbia I think a good bronze medalist in this case.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I think on the broadcast, in all my years covering Serbia and all your years either playing against them or covering them, they typically don't come out there and play with much fire in that bronze medal game because of the disappointment that they're even playing in it, because of the standard that they've set.
Yeah, it's gold or nothing
for their federation. They have a gold standard, man. I mean, that's the reason why they won 6 of the damn things at the World Cup. When they haven't played for gold, in the rare occasions we've seen them not play for gold, they've kind of come in there with bad body language. They're pissed that they're even playing for bronze, and they typically haven't put their best foot forward. This year was different. This year they said they were proud to get that bronze. This year it was a grind to get that bronze because of a new roster and trying to make it work with Milutinovic, added to the squad, and him not giving them the punch that they needed for the outside shooting. A lot of the games were a struggle because in that roster spot, they need that guy to score, man. But and if he doesn't score, then Shaheen's got to score 12 a fucking game.
No, I agree.
Or 10 a game.
But how often have we seen guys not rise to that spot, right? So I think it's a difficult spot to fill in the sense that in defense of Milutinovic, right? He's featured in a lot of action when he's on Lehman. He's almost continuously involved with screening, getting the Wilson in his hands, driving all that. Here he just needs to pick his spots, and then, rhythm is hard to come by. If you go back in history, that 4th spot on the Serbian team, outside of Vasic, who did a pretty good job, but he's now been, supplanted by Narandzic and Barac. We saw Kojic kind of shrink. I believe it was in Jerusalem, if I remember correctly. Kojic couldn't quite live up to the expectation when he came into that spot.
That's true.
Even Mr. Robot, when he stepped into that spot, struggled in spurts because you have to adjust the way you play so much. The question is, are they selecting the right people for the role? Because they're going, but with talent asks, but they're forcing people, which is understandable. It's a national team, but they're forcing people into a spot they usually don't play. Milutinovic, again, he runs a lot of ball screens. He gets all these handoffs. In this system, he catches and he has to shoot. That's it. He doesn't get any touches besides that. So, and Coit, same thing in the past. So, again, I'm not criticizing anybody here. I think it's just a very difficult spot. Some big shoes to fill, especially in absence of Dejan Majstorovic.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, Dre was nervous from the beginning. You could see, you could tell that he was a little rattled he was honored to be selected, and that's because he's having such a good year on the Pro Tour, and that's why he got the nod. But I just think that he let the moment kind of overwhelm him, and it took him away from his game, and he didn't trust himself. And you could see as the tournament went on, his teammates kept trying to boost him up, especially Strahinja, but they started to lose faith in him because he wasn't willing to take that shot. And they didn't have to defend him on the outside, because when you join that roster, you got to be a confident shooter. That's why they got you there. Don't be so afraid to make the mistake. And I think that's what they were probably telling him. Don't be so afraid to make mistakes on this team. You're not going to rock the boat and mess things up. We brought you here for a reason. Who gives a shit if you miss 2 or 3? Shoot it again. But Milutinovic was not willing to do it. He was looking for the pass as soon as he got it, instead of looking for the shot.
I even think in that semifinals game when it went to overtime against Latvia, the first shot they took, they forced it to Milutinovic to try to take a 2. They gave him a ball screen or a handoff to try to work his normal angles. Yeah. He missed it, but they to the wire, they kept that faith. And I got to say, again, I'm not trying to defend him all the way here, but he did play decent defense. And I think he tied the game up against France to get that bronze medal with a steal. France would have had another possession to try to tie or go ahead, and then he just he picked somebody from somebody's pocket. But yeah, you're right. I mean, look, you should be shooting with confidence. That's what they got you for. He couldn't quite get it. So again, I think Serbia a worthy bronze in this regard. If they would have had more shooting, I think they could have gotten gold, but not this time around.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah, those couple teams, Serbia and France, noteworthy for sure. Yeah. But the two teams that stole the show was obviously Germany and Latvia. Wow. Latvia get gold, Germany get the silver. You can go first, because
first off, I think so. The one thing I'd like to say, you've picked Latvia, and I think the last 6 national team events that we've had, right? And every time you said it might be their time, it might be their time. Now it really was their time. 1 for 6 though, so that's. No, I'm messing with you.
I'll take that.
I'm messing with you. I mean, look, that was a good pick, but Latvia. I somehow turned back the clock, man, and it was enjoyable for me. It was so enjoyable because they not only did they bring back the speed and the pace that we know them to be good at, right? So, look, little side trip here to the pro circuit. You know, Las Manas plays on a very slow team in Shanghai. He has been for the last couple of years. It's a lot of work it in the post, work it around slowly. He's at his very best when he can just go, when he can run. And they can outpace teams. And this is exactly what they did in the final against Germany, right? We were right behind their bench, and all I heard Carlos say during the game, and he kept rotating his hand go, pace, pace, pace in Latvian. I don't understand the word, but whatever. Yeah. Their whole MO was that they could run teams out of the gym, combined with the fact that late in the shot clock, they would either get a decent look at a 2 because of that pace, or they would get a cut, which led to 40 key assists leading the field, right? So it's not just the pace, it's the togetherness for this squad, because they were cutting off ball like crazy. Latsis to the basket, Raimo to the basket, Nars Miezes to the basket, Las Manas to the basket even. So that style of play, I don't think we've seen that since 2020, 2021, Riga?
Yes.
And this was exactly how they played. Yes. Super physical, super high pace, a lot of opportunistic 2s, which at some point you were like, man, why would you even shoot those? Miezes at some point was 2 for 15 in a game, and he still knocked down a game winner, I think.
Yes.
It was crazy, but in a good way. Yeah. And I highly enjoyed it. I think it's a well-deserved World Cup. I mean, it probably should have come a couple years earlier, but whatever. Yes. I mean, it was highly deserved.
It was improbable in that, let's just be honest, man. Looking at Miezis and Lasmanis in the last 3 years has been painful as a longtime 3x3 fan. Like they had both. They had.
Well, no,
I
Biezis
don't want to
this
say
year not so much, but last couple years he was unhappy, and you could see
yes,
it.
Miezis this year is playing great, but the last 2 years, watching a future Hall of Famer and what I consider to be one of the top 4 players to ever play, watching Miezis score 2 points a game and go 0 for 6 or 0 for 7 from long range, and he just looked like a shell of himself.
Yep.
Lasmanis didn't look like he was fully committed to the game. It was almost like they had won their Olympic gold and they reserved to just eventually retire with that accomplishment, which is pretty damn good. An Olympic gold
For sure.
is great. So I said, okay, I didn't see the commitment. I didn't see the heart. I didn't see the will to be the best anymore. So I thought the best days of Latvia 3x3 were pretty much over. Watching them recently. For them to turn the clock back in this way, especially Carlos Lasmanis, I didn't know he could still go like that, bro. I didn't know that Batman was going to return like that. Lasmanis was a fucking man possessed, bro. The passion that he was showing, the toughness, the being a nuisance defensively. Even thinking about it now, it makes me smile, man, because I was there when they came out of nowhere in 17. Latvia was on nobody's 3x3 map.
Oh, I know. I was there
At
too.
that time, it was Serbia. The Netherlands were always competitive, as you know. Slovenia.
Yeah, sure. Slovenia
No,
was
you were
probably a
there.
top dog, in that
Right.
tournament for sure. We were like an upstart team, I guess.
Well,
We had
no,
just
y'all-
17. We had just won a silver medal, but if you think on the
Yeah.
pro circuit, we would probably be a quarterfinal, maybe a semifinal exit team,
Yeah.
right?
But if you're a quarterfinal team consistently, then at that time you were considered
Yeah, sure.
amongst
sure,
the
sure, sure.
powers, right? They come in 17, and they were the new kids on the block. They were young, kind of wild, talented, but nobody saw them coming, and they win that gold at the Europe Cup. Ironically, Batman in OT, right?
Yeah.
That's how it started. To see the journey, from European champions to, winning a World Tour final, Olympic gold, and then meeting this German team that's kind of the new kids that are on the blocks in the same way that they were in 17. I was thinking, are they can't beat this German team, not the way they're playing now. Denzel is shooting 57% from 2. How the fuck are they going to handle this monster Giesman but I thought it was a statement. It was like the old guard telling the new kids on the block, not yet, young fellas. Not yet.
Yeah.
We've been pining for this World Cup gold for so long. And we know that y'all probably next up. Like our time was 17. Y'all time isn't now because the Batman says so.
Man.
Lasmanis scored 12 in that final, bro.
Yeah, I know. He went nuts. 7 for 7 inside the arc. And I think if you look at his run throughout the tournament, he shot it at 74% in the paint. We're talking that's higher than Giesman. We're talking amongst the bigs. This is like higher than Pukelis.
That's crazy.
And
That's
Miezis
crazy.
was right up there too. He was also at 75%. That is nuts.
That's crazy. And obviously when you got a defender like Raimo, and we don't say Francis Lotz's name enough, man. Lotz's, I take him on my team any day of the week, man. If he got more touches, then his numbers would look different. But Lotz's, his effort on the offensive glass, his defense, and the fact that he stretches the floor, you cannot leave him open. He loves that 2 in the corner. Lotz's played great. This was Latvia's A+ game for the first time in a long time, in my opinion.
I agree. And if we look, I don't know if you want to say anything else, but I think we've talked about Latvia enough. But if we take on that second team, look, firstly, good run, right? Really good run for them. I think a coming-of-age type of tournament for Denzel Ajiman. In that final game, though, and I don't want to be overly critical. I'll praise him after this. In that final game, some of the stuff that you thought coming in would be an issue was an issue. We're talking two guys from one system in Krop and Bryant.
Yeah.
Who didn't have much rhythm throughout the tournament, couldn't really do much because it was the Ajiman and Giesman show, and they were both really good, right? So why not? These guys both averaged like 7.5 per game.
Yeah.
They needed Krop in that final. He was 0 for 6 from 2, had 3 turnovers, and only grabbed his 2 rebounds. He wasn't there, and he looked despondent in a certain phase. He was out of it.
When was he really there in the whole tournament?
I mean, defensively he was there every game, but offensively not really. But then, so what happened is Ajiman scored 9 of his points in the first 6 minutes of his 9 points. Then he got gassed or something. Something happened, and he started to defer. They forced it. He and Krop tried to force it into Giesman, who didn't have a good game, 3 points only. But they forced it into Giesman against, and this is where I think Raimo proved himself. I wanted to premier defenders in 3x3. And Raimo just took it from him twice. A couple of passes, and Raimo just said, never mind, young fella, and just took the ball from him. Giesman hadn't looked that small in a while. Giesman is a man-child, a monster. And Raimo made him look like a little kid twice. And then Krop just started like chucking up these twos because he felt like he needed to shoot but they couldn't find anybody who was willing to shoot at that point. Like Giesman wanted the ball. He couldn't get it. Ajiman was kind of out of gas, I guess, because he had 9 points. He didn't want to shoot the ball. Krop was forcing up twos. He was missing all of them. And, KB's not going to try to shoot that many shots. So, so the stuff you thought would be an issue coming in was an issue late in that game. I think that's all down to Latvia's pace. I think they just ran him off the court and they got really tired. But, this is another growth step. Like, Giesman in that game has to be better.
Yeah. I'll say this to wrap up this part of the discussion. Latvia are built for a matchup against that German team because they're some tough mother you-know-whats. They are tough as nails, and they are going to be physical as shit with Giesman. They got the defenders to do it. Even Manas, who's undersized against Giesman, that's not going to be a fun time in the post. Manas ain't afraid to foul you and foul you hard, and he won't apologize for it. They're going to swarm you. They're going to be in your ear talking shit the entire game. And for a young team like that, they don't play a lot of teams like that. Even Serbia, for example, they're just going to out-execute you. But they ain't going to talk shit to you. They aren't going to elbow you in the back. They're not going to, be those pests and those nuisances throughout the game in that way. This is a team with Batman and Robin, but they're villainous, man. They're villainous, and they're gonna play you. I'm not gonna say dirty, but they're gonna play you. You can say dirty.
Rough. Come on now. I played these fools in the past.
Well,
they'll do whatever it takes.
It will get that way when you play against them. They aren't roses and cherry blossoms, man. These guys are rough and tumble, and they wanted that World Cup win. I'm happy to see them add that to their cabinet because now I think their legacy is secure. Now, if they want to fall off the map and score 2 points a game again, they could do it because they've done everything. They got it all now. But Germany are on the way. They didn't medal last year. They were committed to getting a medal this year, and they had a shot at gold. So
no, look, they are on the rise.
They're here to stay.
I fully agree with you. All right, so let's move on. So I think some quick hitters here. We talked about a bunch of storylines already. Here's some of the things I wanted to hit on just quickly. We don't need to take 10 minutes per. But I like the youth, man, in this tournament. New Zealand men with mostly an under 23 roster that showed some real grit after going down 0-2 in a very tough pool with the Netherlands and Germany. And they managed to climb back, get out of it, and then they pushed Latvia. It was like a 21-19 game. Look, they pushed Latvia, and Latvia really had to try and exert themselves to get these young guys from New Zealand out of the tournament. I liked some of the growth I saw from them. Look, they didn't look that good on day one. I'll be frank with you. Missed all their twos, but they adjusted even to get to the playing game. They had to
Yeah.
beat Japan. They went away from the 2-ball completely and just went inside. Like that type
Yep.
of stuff, like for a team that doesn't have a full-time program, for guys that don't often feature together on the pro circuit, that are pretty remote from all 3x3 outside of the Asia Cup and now the World Cup. That was cool, man. It was good signs. I really enjoyed being having kind of like a look into their chemistry. It was fun.
Yeah, but they were fun. But fuck, how about Czechia?
Oh, yes.
How about How about the young Czechia team? Did you not start to believe in Czechia as the tournament wore on?
Oh, yes. I
With the mustaching?
Czech Dali.
Oh,
Sure.
but oh God, Novotny didn't have the. We thought that Novotny was probably going to be the most dependable option for them. He didn't have the best tournament, but they play with more toughness than I thought. Making it to the play-in game, they lose to the Netherlands, but I think that they got some building blocks with Czechia too. That outside of them in terms of the youth, they were the only ones that stuck out to me. I'm looking at the other rosters.
I got some more. So Czechia, and I think you talked about dependable. Like I think Rziska deserves a shout out there. Rziska was super dependable, getting offensive rebounds and getting scores at the basket. Now, not all of the youth quite worked out, but some of it did. Like Lithuania adding Rokasiosis. He had a couple of really good games. He had a couple of stinkers. But the good games gave me at least a vision of what the future for him and his team could be, and I think it's really good because I think he's a floor general. He's a natural leader. He's a shot maker. Somebody I think they could use in that system of theirs when things get stuck and when they can't really find Pukelis or Jaugas, on isolation plays, let's say. So I think he showed out. He showed some good things.
Mongolia. Dare I say that they won one game? I know they won a game, but Bas, I don't really have a good reason, but for some reason I believe in the youth movement that they have. Bola Erdin got Soman, the young guard they got.
Yep.
The Mongol Lion, I think, are going to be staples on the national team going forward. Aryan Bolt started off poorly, but he got a hell of a lot better as the tournament went on. I don't think I can call Sugar Ochier part of the youth movement. I got to see how old he is first. but I like the core.
Sugar is 26, so he's still pretty young.
I'm just going to throw them. I'm going to throw them in the mix. I'm going to throw them in the mix because I think that they got something cooking.
I agree with you. One more shout out. I don't want to say youth, but like new faces. Spain didn't quite perform to the standard on the women's end that we know them to get to. But they found something in Che Alarcon. I got to say, Che Alarcon, sorry. Mm-hmm. I think she was pretty good at 6.5 per game for her first big international tournament. So
she was hooping.
There's something there. Imagine if you take pieces of that Madrid Women's Series team and supplement them on the Spanish national team. It could work, huh? I think the future for Spain is not all that bad. So they deserve a shout out as well. Some other storylines I wanted to hit on. Women's end was interesting to me because it was either very, very talented offensive teams, but in the top, there's also a couple of teams that only played defense. I'm talking Ukraine that scored it at 13.5 points per game. They could not score. France as an 8th seed, or not an 8th seed, a 4th seed coming in 8, 14.3 points per game. So it was either offense or only defense. Czechia, even the women, 11.4 points per game. Wow. Just a bunch of defense only, grind it out style teams that managed to get wins. Like, so Ukraine managed to pick up a bunch of W's, came in 6th out of nowhere.
Yes. Facts. Shout out to them. Yeah, I didn't have them penciled in at 6th. Purely defense. Yeah.
Purely defense.
Germany looked pretty good too.
Germany looked pretty good, but they scored the ball decent, although mainly because they had a crazy effort from Amadegbeon in their first day of pool play, right? And then she dropped off, and it was a little bit more difficult from that point on. But Germany looked all right. I think when Britta Daup, the new player that they have, when she grows into what she could be in 3x3, I think they'll be fine, right? Yeah. She was just kind of a defensive piece at this point, like a hustle player, but I think she could do a little bit more. But I think with Zolper, hands on the steering wheel, Zolper's still very young, of course. Reichert ain't that old. I mean, Reichert is probably,
No.
26 or something?
Yeah, and already an Olympic gold medalist.
There you go.
That pedigree means something.
Okay, a couple other topics. I think we've hit on most of them outside of USA laying an egg.
Well, I think that's going to be under most disappointment.
Okay, so we'll get there.
Biggest disappointment of the tournament.
Okay,
biggest disappointment.
Okay, so let's go with biggest surprise then, and I think we've hit on a bunch of these teams already. But who's your men's biggest surprise team?
Madagascar.
Oh yeah.
Like to me, Madagascar stole the show in that. Yeah, of course they didn't medal, but for them to be the squad that oust the reigning gold medalist, same team from a year ago, with Ellie going bananas, to me that was maybe the most memorable moment outside of Michaela Williams' game winner in the women's gold medal. Outside of that win, that game, to me was the game of the tournament, bro. Ellie scores 10 in the game. Solendraini had like 4 or 5 opportunities late in the game, right? He's one up from 2. The go-ahead bucket. They win 20-19 over Spain. Whole place goes crazy. The Polish fans become Madagascar fans overnight.
So let's hit on it now then. That was going to be my coolest moment of the tournament, right? The fact that Polish fans got behind Madagascar of all teams. I think these countries couldn't be farther apart when it comes to everything. And the Polish fans like adopted these guys from Madagascar, started cheering for them, started getting behind them, even as the game was going on, right? So we're not talking after that game. We're talking during this game is when they started chanting Madagascar, Madagascar, yada, 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 started booing the other team, Spain.
Yes. Yeah, there was, and the play-in game, it was against France.
Yeah.
Remember how many Polish fans stayed for that game?
Oh, yeah.
Just to cheer Madagascar.
They were so cool. That was one of my coolest moments. Like a rocking venue that should be disappointed with everything that's going on, just getting right behind Madagascar and cheering them to victory in a crazy game. That was, but anyway.
That was a unique moment.
So back to biggest surprise. So Madagascar for sure. For me, it was, we've already hit on them, but like Czechia men was pretty impressive, I got to say. And New Zealand too, but I think you and me kind of saw that coming as insiders to what their process is. But Czechia, I saw some of the pieces, but I didn't think they could beat the USA, right? And they did, and that was a crazy game from them. So I think that one deserves one. Now, women's end, don't mind me if I go first because I'm going to steal your thunder here.
Go ahead.
How about the Hungarian women?
I told you about the Hungarian women. Y'all said I was crazy.
How about those Hungarian
women? Said I was crazy.
I was, because I haven't seen much from them, and every time, this time they proved me wrong, but every time I saw them operate over the last few years and they were in a big spot, they disappointed. And every time we thought they could be good and they disappointed, man. But they come out of the pool, of course, losing to USA, but giving it a good run, using to Australia as well. But you could kind of see the pieces. Then they take care of Latvia in the play-in. Latvia would come in with a lot of momentum. But the quarterfinals against the Netherlands is really what stood out to me. A 20-21 loss in a game against a highly proven system that's ran them off the table in the last few games they played. Like we're talking 21-11, 21-10 was the last 2 times the Netherlands and Hungary played with decently similar rosters. Not all of them, but like decently. But Virakis in that game was unstoppable. 9 points, 9 boards. Barely missed any shots. Supplemented with some twos from Claudia Pop. And that is, I think, all you need for Hungary to be able to win at that point is you need Claudia Pop to hit some twos. You need Virakis to be good. If only they could have gotten 1 or 2 more points out of Vivi Burundi, who actually was good late in that game, to be honest with you. But she was quiet for the first 9 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Even think back to the pool play game where Hungary played that USA women's team pretty tough.
Yeah, I know.
Which was a shock. And I know you were nervous as shit in that quarterfinal with the Netherlands.
I'm never nervous. I'm unbiased.
But man, they had a shot, man. I'm a believer. It's not just because I live in Hungary. I'm a believer. I think if they got Kish as the centerpiece of that roster with Burundi now playing, she's turned back the clock. She's playing at a high level. They got some young talent still that we may see feature on the Europe Cup roster. I think Hungary's got to be considered a contender, man. And I haven't had to say that in a long time. But I think they're a serious contender.
All right. I agree with you. Who's your women's surprise, though? Was it going to be Hungary, no?
Of course, you stole my thunder. Of course, it's going to be. Of course, it's Hungary. There's nothing left to say. Yeah. Well, okay, no. Certainly, they're a women's surprise, but I got to go with the Kangaroos. Yeah, newly formed roster. I wouldn't say that Marina used to be a superstar. I wouldn't say that right now she is. I think to do what they did in the amount of time that they had to prep, to put all the pieces together, to get better, grow into the tournament. You use that phrase a lot, and I love that phrase. I don't think that there's a better example of a team growing into a tournament than the Kangaroos. And to play for gold, representing Australia, a country that has dominated the Asia Cup. But let's be frank, if you win the Asia Cup, it doesn't bolster a lot of respect, on the world stage in 3x3. They just say, yeah, you won the Asia Cup. Whoop-de-doo. Anybody could do it. I think it was a statement performance for the Kangaroos. And I think the world should take notice, and I think that they're going to be a player into the Olympics.
I agree. Men's biggest surprise.
Biggest surprise.
No, wait. We already did this. We got to go to biggest disappointments. I'm sorry.
Okay,
we went biggest disappointment on the men's side first. I think we'll agree on the women's side. I think we both have the same team pick there. But let's do men's.
All right. You want me to go?
Yes. Yeah. USA. I see you rocking that shirt.
Yeah, man. More of the same this year, man. They started off great. I thought James Parrott took a step forward. He finally kind of stepped into that role that I wanted to see, because I think he's one of those unique talents in the league in men's 3x3 to where, he's right up there with the worthies of the world. Like, his offensive ability, his length, his athleticism, his rim protection, his defense is crazy, and I thought it was all coming together for the USA. Outside of that loss to Czechia, which was, to me, I still don't understand how they lost that game. They were up big. They just let their foot off the gas. But for them to lose to France in the way that they did in the quarterfinals, with just I don't want to go too hard on my guys, man. I love those guys, man. I got respect for those guys. But for them to lose that way, scoring 11 points against this France team was not supposed to be one of the better French teams. We had questions about this roster when we saw it, right? We was like, oh, man, I don't know what Sochi was doing, right? With this group, USA should not have flamed out in the way that they did, man.
No, I agree.
11 points. They didn't show me any will. Where's your pride at, man? Like you're a favorite in this tournament. Even now, it's hard for me to put the words together without. I just don't want to say. I don't want to go too hard on the guys, man. But I'm disappointed. They're better than that. This was a year they were supposed to get back to the podium or compete. After flaming out last year, starting off 4-0, they lost to Germany in a similar fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't put words to it. I can't understand why that group can't put it together consistently on this stage. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. They're too good to play like that, man.
I think it's a product of the type of tournament. Teams have more time to prep during a World Cup. They have more time to figure out your system. And with them, it comes down to rhythm. It comes down to movement and to pace. The tournaments at this point, when they get knocked out, it's 5-6 days old. Teams have had plenty of days to scout them and figure out how to disrupt that, because if they don't lean on that, they go into ISO mode, and ISO mode is not what works for them.
Bas, I don't know if it's the scouting, man. I don't think it's the scouting. I think it's something between the ears, bro. I think it's a psychological thing with this American team. And it's not that they're not mentally tough, but they don't have that same will that you've seen from the Serbian teams that have not been as talented as they are. But there's certain teams, we'll use Latvia for example, where I'm just not going to fucking let you beat me. You know what I mean? It's like it's a certain chip on your shoulder that you got to play with, a certain level of pride that you just say, I don't care that we're missing shots. We're going to find a way to win this game. And what I saw with the USA team is they've shown me that they'll lay down in games before they'll pull themselves up out of the dirt with their mouth bleeding and say, even if we lose this game, you're going to fill us on the way out.
Yeah, that's not happening.
You know what I mean? They didn't come with their fists balled up, ready for that stage, and France did. And USA are a more talented team. And if they played their game and they ran their system, I think that's a game that usually they could expect to win against France. And they didn't have it, man. And if you can't bring it this year, after the disappointment of last year, then how can you get behind a team like that?
No, I agree.
I picked them. I picked them to win silver this year.
I think
only team I picked over them was Serbia.
Bronze. I agree with you. So for me, I looked at this a couple of different ways. You could say sixth for the Netherlands is a little bit disappointing, but they ran into a really good German team, right? You could say a 1-4 record for Belgium is heavily disappointing. I'd say 0-4 for Australia and not even being close in a single game.
Oh yeah, they were big let.
They were an incredible letdown to me.
Yeah,
but you knew with the roster coming in, this team wasn't going to be very good. A roster that came in with some pedigree was Spain. Gold medal pedigree, by the way.
Yeah.
They beat Australia on their first game. Sure, Australia stinks. At this point, we've established it. They lose to Serbia in a tight one. Close game, well played by Spain. Also, sure, you take that. Then they lose to Austria. And Austria is not a bad team. Spain is not a bad team either, so you could take that loss. All they need to do to get into the playing game is beat fucking Madagascar. I'm sorry for cursing. Beat Madagascar. A team they should beat every single time they play them. They got a fucking... See, now I'm upset. They got a monster of a man under the basket in Ivan Koechia. No one on Madagascar can stop him. No one. And they lose. And they run out of gas late. They can't get the final shot because they don't execute well. They don't have any
4 offensive rebounds, boss.
Bro, this was so disappointing to me. I didn't think this team would repeat as gold medal winners, right? I didn't think that. I at least gave them a shot to get out of the pool against, with all due respect, the Madagascar team that's been on the rise and that have improved. But no way that Spain should lose to them. And they lay a giant egg, bro. They looked out of gas. They looked out of sorts. They looked like they didn't want to be there.
Well, not to toot my own horn, but beep. The reason I didn't say Spain was my biggest disappointment is because if you rewind the tape to our previous podcast, I told y'all Spain are going to fall off in this World Cup. I said they are not going to sniff the podium.
No, but like falling off is one thing. Not making it out of pool and only winning a single game is just sad, bro.
Yeah,
that is sad.
That was with the same roster. Same roster.
All right, so we got a couple short things left, right? Small hits.
Yeah.
Any teams we haven't mentioned on the men's and the women's side that are now on the radar to you?
Let me see here.
I got at least a couple I could mention.
All right, on the men's that are on the radar for me that weren't before.
Oh wait, so we never talked about our women's disappointment, but let's both agree that that's Canada, by the way.
Yep, you knew it. I was going to say it.
Same here. I don't think we should waste any words. They just had a terrible tournament, just really bad.
But this isn't. It's been a string of bad terms for them. I think that
they won bronze last year, didn't they?
Yeah, but I'm talking about after that. They won bronze last year, but everything after that,
Yeah.
um,
America
eh,
Cup silver, no?
yeah, but I think they had Sasha Grant Allen there
I
for that
guess so.
tournament.
But
But
anyway,
anyway,
so
we
anyway,
agree.
we can spend a while on that, but I don't think I don't think we should go into that as much as I think they just had a bad run. Nothing clicked, nothing worked, and it was visible.
I would say Czechia most certainly was not on my radar before,
Men's or women's?
even though well, women's
No, I'm
women's
talking
first.
men's or women's teams.
I'm speaking of men
Okay.
when I'm talking about Czechia. Although on the previous podcast, I did tell y'all that this Czechia team could make some noise. Just rewind the tape. Just listen. I'm not
This
right.
man's got all the receipts.
No. Rewind the tape and you'll see what I said about it. I said, hey man, look, Czechia could be a bracket buster. Yeah, I was like, okay. But so they were kind of on my map, but now they're really on my map. I oddly enough, man, Madagascar.
Madagascar, nice. Can I add one?
Yes.
I'll take Brazil.
Yeah,
Brazil, man.
Brazil was next.
Look,
Brazil was next.
an overtime loss to Puerto Rico, a very tight game with Lithuania that lost 22-20, a 1-point win over Belgium. They didn't have a good Branquinho in this tournament at all.
At all.
He was
yeah, facts.
bad.
Yeah,
and
bad.
they still almost got it done. It's so many close losses, right? But Leandro da Silva showed out to me. That guy was good.
Yeah,
that guy was good.
Yeah.
He got tired at the end of games, bro. But like every time he touched the ball and he just said, "Let me get a layup," he got a layup. And point of contention here, I think late against Lithuania, he got a layup, and the rim and the backboard were hit, and then it missed.
Yeah,
I think that might have been a missed goaltend. I'm not sure. Somebody explained it to me. One of the refs said it was actually not a missed goaltend, but it looked like it.
Yeah, to me it did too. So I'm not going to say that they got robbed, but that's one that should have went his way. Yeah, I think we agree. I mean, I think those are the teams that earned their place on our radar because they played their way into it.
Latvia women's, I'd say, is up there for me as well. I think we've kind of known them to be all right, but I mean, look, they came out of the pool with a 3-1 record. That's not bad. I want to mention them at least.
But I've already kind of liked Latvia's women's teams. They were, would I dare say that? No, I can't say that one. Well, obviously Hungary are back on the map for me. Would I say Ukraine?
Ukraine is, but we've talked about them. Ukraine is on the map a little bit. 6th at the World Cup, bro. And for a team that had virtually no offense, like throw it down to Udo Nili and see if she can cook up some whatever they eat in Ukraine. Borscht?
I don't know. Ukraine, I'm gonna put them there, but I still don't fully believe, Bas. I don't fully believe.
No, look, it's not about believing. It's if they're on the map or not.
They're on the map, but are they a team whose defense is so stout to where they're going to be able to play their way into a podium opportunity with defense?
I don't know.
Or are they going to magically come up with some offense out of nowhere?
No, but we're talking, look, New Zealand has hit the radar for like the general population in 3x3 now, right? The men's, for instance. Like, and I think Ukraine, after a couple of years where they just came in like last at the World Cup, they're kind of back in the mix. And I think that's all you need.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. And Australia, and of course, Australia.
Yeah, of course. So we talked about my coolest moment, right? So the fans getting behind Madagascar during a game where they were not even supposed to be in the venue. You have any cool moments you still want to hit on?
We kind of hit on it earlier, but I would say Money in the Bank coming back and checking out the games. I think the preeminent Poland legend when it comes to 3x3, I don't think there's a name bigger. And for them to host it and for him to come back and give out some love and give some love back, for me personally, that was a special moment.
That was a really cool moment.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, me and you are going to be back this upcoming weekend in Amsterdam, right?
Yes.
I'm doing both events. You're only doing the men's, I think.
Yep.
We're doing women's and men's.
You're gonna be busy, busy, busy.
I'll be tired on Monday. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
But before we go into that, and as a nightcap to this almost 2-hour-long podcast at this point, we got to wrap it up. Power fives. We haven't done a Power Five in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So
quick.
with the events we haven't hit on, and of course you kind of want to include individual performances at the World Cup here, but we haven't hit on Shanghai and Vienna. So just to give you a quick reminder, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay.
Because this is a hard Power Five.
This is a super difficult Power Five, right? So let me pull up. I had a webpage open and it closed, so I got to pull it up. So
what you need, I can give you the standings on the tour.
No, I don't need the standings. I wanted to mention the standings for certain teams on the individual event. So okay, I had 5. Basket Spawn. I got to put him at 5. A 3rd place in Vienna. Of course, that good run at the World Cup helps.
Yeah.
Weren't so good in Shanghai, 7th, but I figured that 3rd place run would still get him up in the power rankings because with the World Cup, they're really trending.
Yes.
4th, and I know this is a while ago, but who came in 2nd in Shanghai? Ulaanbaatar.
Ulaanbaatar
came in 2nd.
They did, and they finished 3rd in Chengdu.
So guess who's on my power rankings?
What? Okay, you threw me for a loop with that one. Okay.
They have been on the rise. If you think about the World Tour, they've started to step things up and are climbing. Bro, it's 2 top 4 finishes on the year already in their last 2 events.
Legit.
Like that is not bad.
Legit, bro. Honestly.
So third, Lehman. A deep run in Vienna, of course, kind of turning the tables because they weren't that good in Shanghai. They were 6th, I believe. Let me check real quick. 6th in Shanghai, but that was a different roster. They turned things around to get to the finals again in Vienna.
Yeah.
2nd, Hangzhou.
Woo,
who won Shanghai.
Sexy Power 5.
This is a crazy Power 5. I didn't expect this at all.
Well, it's sexy. I like it.
And number 1, of course, Amsterdam winning Vienna last weekend. I got to throw them up there at the highest rising team. And again, we clarify this every time. The Power 5 is who is hot right now. Now, now is a little bit broad with the World Cup in hindsight in Shanghai 2 weeks ago, but we're still using Shanghai.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. All right. Here's who I'm gonna go with. At 5, Hangzhou.
Okay.
Small body of work. But I'm gonna throw them in there because they won Shanghai, and who knows what they're gonna do next. They won't be in Amsterdam, but I think they'll be in Ulaanbaatar. I'll have to check it. They'll be 5 for me. Number 4 in my Power 5. You got me thinking Ulaanbaatar all of a sudden, but I can't do it.
Yes.
I can't do it.
You're leaving them off?
I can't do it. No, I'm leaving them off, bro.
Oh.
I'm leaving them off. I'm going to put Baskets Bond in there at 4.
Okay.
At 3, I'm going to go with Oob. Yes. Body of work. They've been consistent. Top 4 in every tournament this year.
Okay.
You left Oob off of your Power 5. They didn't look great. They didn't look great in Vienna, honestly. But they didn't have Strahinja. So I'm going to go with them. Then am I at 3 now?
Yeah.
3, I gotta go.
You're at wait.
No, I'm at 2.
You're at 2 already.
So I said Hangzhou, Baskets Bond.
Oob.
Yeah. So Hangzhou, Baskets Bond, Oob. At 2, I gotta go Lehman. And at 1, Amsterdam. That's my Power 5. Yours is a little bit. Yours is pretty good though. With Ulaanbaatar on there, I like that. I didn't see.
I think I may or may not have messed up not leaving Oob off the list, but it's such a tight list, bro. Like, who would you bounce?
You can't leave Oob off, bro. You can't.
I mean,
I mean, but
But
true
if you
to
think
what
about it, the last two tournaments they played, they finished what, third and third or third and fourth?
third and fourth.
Last two
Prior
tournaments
to that, they
Ulaanbaatar
won.
played, they were second and third.
Look, it's a legitimate argument. I can't be mad at that. I think I like that Power Five a little bit better because it's totally different. My Power Five is, I think a lot of people would probably go with my Power Five, but I think very few people would have Ulaanbaatar in there. But if they looked at the results, it would cause them to think twice. I'd like to put them in
get
there,
Chang's Power Five at some
I
point.
don't. But I don't like them better than Baskets Bond. I don't like them better than Lehman. I don't like them better than Amsterdam. I can't take them over Oob, but I could have potentially put them in there at 5 over Hangzhou.
Okay.
Is it too late for me to make that change?
No.
Yeah. You know what? Hangzhou's out of there. Congratulations on the win in Shanghai. I'm putting Ulaanbaatar in there at 5 too.
Okay. Here we go.
Skip it. Put them in there, bro.
Okay.
Put them in there. Yeah, they at 5. Let's roll that. Let's end it on that.
Okay, let's do it.
Well, damn. Here we are. Here we thought this was going to be a short pod.
Yeah, absolutely
with no Vince, and we roll it for 2 hours. Shout out to y'all if y'all sat here and watched me and Bas just ramble and talk about every tournament and for 2 hours. We appreciate y'all. But that's how we do on Word on the Streets. This is just from the heart, 3x3 fans to the core. And we got a lot to fit in on this episode. But now it's time for us to get ready for work. I'm heading to Amsterdam in less than 24 hours. I'll see you there.
For sure.
Women's Series, World Tour rolling on. And, of course, the Europe Cup qualifiers are going to be finishing up. So on the next pod, we'll be pretty loaded then, too. So Vince Chang will rejoin us, and we'll have more 3x3 to talk. So make sure y'all give us a follow at Word on the Streets on social media. Send us your questions, your comments. Replace the E's with 3s. That's how you find us. But that's going to do it for this episode. For the Mountain, I'm the voice. This has been Word on the Streets. We'll catch you next episode.